Hey, this is Rick here. Welcome to Digital Fortress. I'm going to go over my strategy here for getting the stake migrated from Digi 1 and 2 to Digi 3 and some other stuff. I'll follow up with some AMA questions at the end here. But the goal here is for people currently delegating to Digi 1 and 2, what's going to happen is K is going to go up to 500 on December 6th, and it will take that epic to take place for the K equals 500 to go into effect. What is the impact on you as a delegator, as a staker? The impact on you is that saturation will come down to about 63.6 million, approximately. Just above 63 million is where saturation will be. So I would like to encourage people delegating and staking with Digi 1 and 2. Go ahead and start migrating over to Digi 3. And I'll show you the strategy, the effects, and the impact here shortly. And we'll go over some more detail later. But the most important things are K is currently set to 150, which means the protocol wants to saturate 150 pools. That's what K equals 150 means. Excuse me. What that causes is the saturation is currently just over 211 million. And as the Digi pools have between 120 and 140 million ADA on Digi 1 and 2, there's 3 million, there's 7 million active, 3 million currently on Digi 3. So I want to get the delegators to kind of shift over to Digi 3. Before December 6th, we'd like to get about 63 million moved over to that so that the pools are balanced. Then when the K equals 500 goes into effect, you don't have anything to worry about, and it's smooth sailing from there on out. So that was the key, is to let the stakers and delegators know that. Then I'm going to do a screen share to show you how we're going to do that. Hello, everyone in chat. Thanks for joining me. Roadrunner, Big Pay, good to see you there as well. Roadrunner has the weekend and Keller Crypto. Good to see you there. All right, so that's the key. That's the goals. And then I'll go over the strategy and how K equals 500 affects the big picture. All right. Now, some things to think about whenever you are considering when you're going to move your delegation over to Digi 3. Some people are going to want to stay in Digi 1 and 2. They've been very effective. Digi 2 has a 99% loyalty rate. Digi has a 93% loyalty rate. So thank you very much, delegators, for the loyalty. Digi 3, this is his first epic. Turns out to be very lucky and is right now at like 149% luck. If you look it up on ADA pools, you can see it over there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and show you how you can look at it in Daedalus and on ADA pools with Digi 3. And then I'll take some questions here at the end. So let me share my screen. I may as well do the whole desktop. So let me just share that whole desktop out and see how that goes. All right. So what you see here in Daedalus, you have the Digi pools listed in here. I'll show you those. You just search Digi in the bar, and you have Digi and Digi 2 ranked here at 66 and 67. They have the same network parameters. They got 600K ADA pledge and 2.5% pool margin. Okay, and they're doing quite well. There's Digi and Digi 2 shown at 66 and 67. And you'll see Digi 3 is a ranked pool at 228. It's the last ranked pool. So you'll see it is 228. There's no asterisk next to Digi 3 showing on there. And this is where you want to migrate your stake over to this pool, okay, over to Digi 3. And what will happen as the stake migrates? See, same parameters, okay, same 600K ADA pledge and the same 2.5% margin. All right. So same parameters, same horsepower, same redundant hardware, multiple and redundant servers and multiple and redundant internet connections, very high speed internet connections. So you'll get the same performance on Digi 3 as you'll get on Digi and Digi 2. You'll get the same great reliability because we have 100% uptime for the entire time on the mainnet that we have to create blocks because when we go to bring up the alternate servers, we bring the alternates up first and then switch them into as the block producers. And then we bring down the primaries, do the maintenance. So the servers are always up. We don't have any maintenance downtime. The servers are always up, always connected to multiple and redundant internet connections for that purpose, to maintain 100% uptime. There is no maintenance downtime. They'll hit every block that they need to hit, okay? That's our current state, and we plan to keep it that way because we're running very high-end hardware, and we're running business internet, okay? We're using business-grade internet. It is not residential internet. It is business-grade, internet. So yeah, so that's the deal with Digi3. Now, how would you look it up on ADA pools, or how does it compare on ADA pools, and why am I encouraging you to go over to Digi3? Currently, all right, Digi and Digi2 are ranked very well on ADA pools. Digi3 is shown here, doing extremely well with 7 blocks out of an expected 4.7 for 150% luck. But there's this little hump here. There's a hump that all small pools have to deal with. That's that 17.7% cost. And if you hit the question mark up here, it'll tell you what the cost is. It'll explain that cost. And what will happen is what we've got to do is get over that hump. Let me relist it right here. I didn't want to sort by cost. I'm going to sort by name. There we go. Yeah. So this little hump here at 17%. And what will happen is as this delegation rises, this number will go down. Okay. As the stake on Digi3 rises, this number here will go down. All right. So I just wanted to make sure people knew how to look it up and know how to migrate over to Digi3. And if you're using Yoroi, it's very easy. You'll find Digi3 listed, shown very similar to how AdaPool shows it here. Okay, so I'm going to bring down that screen share. Oh, I did have one other thing that I wanted to point out, but I'll get some questions in chat. Any questions on moving delegation to Digi3? At first, just like all other pools, when K goes from 150 to 500, there will be some a little bit of pain point, a little bit of risk moving from one pool to another, but that's fine. It'll be overcome relatively quickly as long as people know what they're doing. And I think the delegators are very smart. Delegators know what they're doing. The stakers know what they're doing, and they understand saturation, and they understand all that stuff very well. All right. So let me see if there's any questions. I'm going to hit on a few more points as to why this K equals 500 is very important for people to know. What is the impact? What is the effect on them? What are the pros and cons? I'm going to go over that shortly. Let me see if there's any questions. Let's see here. Any questions? Jesus Christ says IOG will be retiring their pools to support small SPOs. No, IOG will not be retiring their pools. They will be setting their pools to private. They'll run one public pool. They'll set the remaining pools to private, and they will also be doing some sort of delegation. But I can't speak for IOG. I don't know what the details are, but will be doing some community support efforts as well. Okay. Someone says, yeah, they saw Digi4 being discontinued. That's correct. That's a fake Digi4. You won't see it in Daedalus. You won't see it on ADA pools. It's a fake. It's a spoof. You don't even know. You don't even know if there's a block producer ring behind a Digi4. The current plan for Digi is when K goes to 500, we are not creating new pools just because K goes to 500. We have built our pools out the way we want them for the long game. Myself and my 2 pool operators, the planners, we play long game, and we built these pools up for the long haul with the anticipation of K rising. That doesn't mean we will tie our hands. That does not. If we have to build more pools to build a sustainable business model, depending on the market conditions, we will do that as needed. We won't do it to be malicious. We will do it to maintain a sustainable business model. We plan to compete with Binance. We plan to compete with eToro. We plan to run with the big pools like Bloom. Okay. We're not going to drag Digi down to a lower level. We are going to build the Digital Fortress up, and we're running like champions. We're going for number 1. We are championship pools, professional pools. This is a professional business to us. I just did I got my business registration back. Digital Fortress is registered as an LLC in the state of Virginia, professional business, everything legit. I hired a professional penetration tester to analyze my network and conduct penetration testing on the Digital Fortress network, and it went pretty well. And I'll go into more details on that on a different live stream. There's a lot of details, but there's only certain things you want to discuss about security. But I take this as a very professional business. This is high end. It's important. It's important to have strong Cardano network infrastructure. The Cardano network is currently large and strong, and it's important to keep it that way. Okay. So I just want to make sure that was very clear to people. All right. To my delegators, it's most important. So thank you, delegators, for working with Digi. Roadrunner says, when K equals 1,000, is Digi4 coming? I don't know yet. Depends on market conditions. Depends on the price of ADA. It depends on the sustainability. Currently, there isn't a plan to do that, but the option is always on the table to build more pools, okay? And whether it's under the Digi ticker or a new brand with an associated name, options are all on the table, okay? Professional pools, remember, these are businesses. These are professional businesses. They should be run like professional businesses. And there's a lot of pool operators that are running it like a professional business. Well done and good job to those of you pool operators who are doing that. Okay. And pay there, wink. I got you, pay. I know you're running like a pro, bro. You're running like a pro. All right. Let's see what else. What does the price have to do with the increase of your pool to be profitable? From Ace Charles. Thank you, Ace Charles. That is a fantastic question. I have a screen share I'm going to share about profitability. Okay, so that is the pros and cons of raising Kegels 500. I always look at the pros and cons. What are the benefits and what are the drawbacks? Some of the pros of raising Kegels 500 is it does enhance decentralization. Okay, it gives more pool operators more opportunity to conduct a good professional business and turn a profit. That is the pro. The con to going to Kegels 500 is it's too high in my opinion. It goes beyond a sustainable level across the network, and you never know what the price of ADA is going to do. You don't know what's going to do tomorrow. Hey, you know what? Good news. Bitcoin is over $15,500. Yay, that's awesome. But ADA is still kind of meandering around just below 10 cents. Right. So we don't know what's going to happen with the price of ADA, right? What I think we should be doing with K, and I agree with Pei and Kaizen, if you check out their videos, it should be a gradual increase. It should not have been a jump to 500. I thought we should have started around 250 to 500, where we should have started to bring the network up correctly. But due to the price of ADA being unpredictable and at the time was hanging around 7 to 8 cents, I guess they figured 150 was a sustainable number because the protocol is designed to saturate 150 pools with Kegels 150. People came up with a saturation boogeyman. Don't worry about saturation. Right now there's currently either zero pools that are saturated or only one pool that is a very high performance pool that is at saturation. And that is what the protocol is designed to do. So don't be afraid of saturation boogeyman. Optimum pools are going to run between about 90 to 95% saturation. So you don't have to worry about that pool going over saturation. Don't worry about people jumping in on your favorite pool. The delegators are smart. They know what they're doing. I sometimes hear people say that they don't know what they're doing. We don't have any saturated pools. So obviously, delegators are smart and they know what they're doing. All right. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. The delegators will self-manage. They get it. They understand how it works. Okay. And I'll make sure I communicate effectively and frequently to the delegators and to the other pool operators as needed for information that might be helpful. Okay. Let's see. So I hope I answered your question. Yeah, I was going to do a screen share and show you. I have a piece of data here about the going to K equals 500. I thought it should have been raised gradually. I do not think. I think you got to get people used to how K works. I'll give you an example. What I think we should be doing is every 3 months reassess the average price of ADA and raise K accordingly. Okay, so let's say September to December, and then come up with an average, raise K accordingly, then January through March, and raise it accordingly or not, and every 3 months or every 6 months. And you get delegators into the idea of doing a quarterly assessment because people look at their portfolios like their 401ks and all their other investments. And then quarterly, they could say, oh, it's March and it's about that time they adjust K. Let me see how my investment is doing, and they can go check on it. That way they're not worried like every 5 days and say, should I be checking on it, right? You don't want delegators to have to worry about that kind of stuff. You want them to be able to set it and forget it. You want them to be able to trust the pool and trust the pool operator that everything is going good, and they only got to check on it periodically, okay? And I think that's a good business model. It works well for other major investments, right? It shouldn't have to be banging on a web page every day. All right, let me put the screen share up and see what I mean. Make sure I got the tweet. Yeah, I got. Okay, yeah. So it's important. So I'm going to show you something. Right now with K equals 150 and the current price of ADA. Let me share my screen again one more time. I made a typo with my mouth. Okay, share screen, desktop 2. Okay. All right, there's a poll I did a while back. I do market analysis. I gauge how people are thinking, feeling, responding, and all that kind of stuff. And I have a poll I touched on before, checking with the SPOs and the other state pool operators and say, does your pool currently earn a profit, break even, or take a loss? Okay. With the larger percent being they take a loss. So about half the responding people take a loss, and the other half of the people, 12 plus 6 is 18%. The other half either break even or turn a profit. That is with K equals 150. Now, what will happen is with K equals 500, these pools are going to have to respond to get in the zone of taking profits. Right now, the average, what's the average? The average pool breaks even. Okay. And this is important to long-term sustainability. So the average pool breaks even. We weren't supposed to raise K until the price of ADA went up until it was sustainable to raise K and probably maintain this model. Okay. So that's just my take on that. I just want to point that out. I'll bring down that screen share and check on questions. All right. Okay. So let's see here. Any other questions come up? How many hours a week does your team put in to manage the 3 pools? About an hour a day on average, depending. An hour a day to monitor the pools, check on them, make sure everything's running fine, see if there's any updates onto the versions of Linux that are going, and to read through a couple of the channels to make sure we have the latest information. Some days so that's the average day. Some days it might take 2 or 3 hours if there's a node update. For example, the current revision is 1.21.1. And if you want to stay on the current update, you're going to update to that. There's also continuing maintenance in rebooting nodes, updating peers, checking on the peer topology, and also marketing. Marketing takes up time. So if you take at least an hour a day to monitor the pools, plus you got to take in the bigger maintenance, such as upgrading the software, taking the time to market, taking the time to talk with delegators, getting educational information out to the world, right? So that we can bring in more new users to Cardano. If you start piecing all of those together, the hours kind of add up over time. And I did the math. If a operator simply, if they pay themselves at $20 an hour for the cost of running the pool, right? You have to do that. So it's part of the cost, not profit. It's not profit. It's mandatory. You have to do a certain amount of work. That's part of the cost of running a pool. And if you take that hour a day for 30 days and you take the cost of either the server, the VPS server you're running, or the subscriptions I use for multiple and redundant professional internet, and also multiple and redundant professional firewall licenses that I do and use. Those costs add up over time. And Pei did an analysis earlier, and I think it was pretty accurate that currently the gross cost, and of course Pei's in chat, I don't want to misspeak. Currently, the gross per pool you're looking at is about 13,000 a year for the average pool at K equals, if you go to K equals 500. Okay. So there are costs associated in it, at $20 an hour plus all other costs. The average cost of running a pool per month is about $600 and some to $700 because you can't just run one node. You got to run a block producer server node and a separate relay node, right? As a minimum. That's a minimum to run one pool. All right. So it adds up. And CryptoSimp did a detailed analysis on Twitter as well. He came up with similar numbers between $650, $700. And the more pools you run, you can reduce the cost of running a pool a little bit by running multiple tools under the same ticker. That's an effective business plan. It is effective to run multiple pools under the same ticker, although you'll hear some people frown upon that. It might be a good idea. I know I've said it on other videos for multiple individuals. Like I have a team of multiple people. I have 3 people working on it. I also have a 4th person who helps with other items. And if people can't run a sustainable pool at 1 pool per person, there's no harm. It's perfectly reasonable to team up. I mean, look at Binance right now. They got 18 pools up. They put up 18 pools. It's a large business operation. Don't be surprised if we go to K equals 500, Binance launches 40 pools. I'd be like, I would expect it. I would say, yeah, that makes sense. If I was the CEO of Binance, that's probably what I would do, right? Because I think they have, I estimate, up to about 3 billion ADA. At 18 pools, you're looking at about 150 billion ADA per pool. Yeah, good business model, right? So, but I'm working like to compete with Binance Level at Digital Fortress, right? And guys like Pay over at Bloom, and guys like Kaizen. And there's a lot of what you call the big pool operators. We're looking long term. We're looking at long term, and this is a professional business, and we give it everything we got. Put our time, investment. It takes time. All right, so I just want to make sure y'all know that. I don't want to get on a soapbox and pontificate, but just wanted to give you guys that heads up. Any other questions? Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, Pay says, I think setting and forgetting is a thing of the past until a price increase. Yeah. You would hope that people would only have to check on it periodically. At some point, we'll get there. We'll achieve some point of stability and some point of equilibrium where you can almost set it and forget it. Just check back on it periodically, like once every couple of weeks or once a month, not once an epoch, right? Let's see. So the pros and cons, like with a small pool, you might want to check once an epoch and say, did it even make a block? The pros and cons with the really big pool approaching saturation, you'll say, did it go over saturation? Let's see here. Any other questions? Economic sustainability is key. Skylight Pool, yes, that is correct. Skylight Pool, economic sustainability is a key. And the professional financial advisor there you met, he knows how it works. So let me see. Any other things I want to hit on the Kagels 500? I didn't want to go on for too long. I think it's good that we're changing things. I don't like the big jump like that. And I thought a gradual progression would be better. The concept behind going high was you can always throttle K lower, and it doesn't cause the delegators to have to move as often. I would prefer consistency where you teach the entire ecosystem to be consistent. For example, every 3 or 6 months, reassess what should K be, and then adjust K based on a periodic assessment of the current price of ADA to ensure a sustainable network and some benefits. One of the cons of K going to 500 is lower rewards for the entire network. Okay. So the average percentage will drop. You will see that. Just expect it. It doesn't mean your pool is doing bad. It doesn't mean Digi or Digi2 is doing any worse. It just means as the stake is distributed and the way the protocol is designed, it won't be a big drop. I ran the online staking calculator that is still relatively accurate, and UMed has some charts out there. And when K goes to 500, if the average network percent is between 5.3 and 5.5% is the current average pool for medium-sized to large pools, instead of 5.3 to 5.5%, you might see it drop to 5.2%. Okay, so it's just a fraction of a percent lower, but just be alert to that, right? That's just how the protocol works. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions in there? Anything else I was going to say about K going to 500? Oh, yeah, the saturation boogeyman. I wanted to talk about that. All right. So understanding saturation about the 60 million, 61 million range to get consistent rewards, right? And even Daedalus won't make the pool, the bar turn red. I'll show you the bar again if you want me to screen share it. But until 100% saturation, then it will go yellow, and it won't go red until 110% saturation because of the way the rewards work. Okay, so the protocol going to K equals 500 means the protocol is trying to saturate 500 pools for optimum rewards across the network. Okay, and the closer to saturation without going over, the better, right? Now, pools that you might want to think about, is it risky? If you're going to mark something red for financial risk, is the zero block pools. It's just hard to start up a new business in an established field, right? And if you're going to mark something with risk, you're going to say, well, if it doesn't have any blocks or it doesn't have the ability to make any blocks, that one's going to be red. And that's why on Daedalus, that's why those asterisks are on there. I'll just pop that up again real quick, and I'll take Digi out. I'll show you why. And the important thing is pledge. There's a lot of pools out there that put in big pledge. I have 600,000 in. That's almost $60,000. I saved up for years to get to that point. Again, playing the long game. I didn't just show up in July or August with a couple $1,000. My team and I have been planning this for a long time. Pay, for example, he has a large team of people backing his pools, and these are big professional operations, right? And they should operate as such. And I think that's a good thing for Cardano. It will still decentralize. We don't have to worry about lack of decentralization. Okay, so One more screen share. I'm going to pop Daedalus up again. If you guys are interested, if anyone has any questions. So let me put that up. Okay, and there it goes. All right, so you'll notice in Daedalus that we have, oh, here's my buddy Glitch, One Love. That's my man right there. Okay. All right, you'll notice if I set this slider bar to 400,000, like a typical medium to large delegation, set the slider bar. And then I go down here and notice Digi3 is the last ranked pool at 228. Okay. That's because it has 600,000 pledge on that pool. Pledge matters. Now, earlier these were grayed out, but now they did this really awkward thing where they're all marked as rank 229 with an asterisk. It's okay. At least they're lit up. I think that's a good thing, but I think they should just use a different color like blue or purple or something else. And say, look, you're taking a risk because you might not get rewards predicted. But I also think there's an issue with that predicted rewards, right? So these pools, they've got some lower pledge. Look at that, 5,000 ADA. And I'm not beating up on this pool. I'm just saying, for example, that's why it's not ranked. Okay. Now you got some pools that are, and I'll go further down the list. I'm not beating up on any pool. I'm not picking on any of them, but it's important for people to understand this. Oh, another important thing to understand, any pool with this marker is going to retire, right? This pool here is going to retire. Okay, and I'll go down and see if I can find one with a green bar that is also not ranked. There were some in here. Oh, there's a lot of pools. There's a lot of pools. Oh, there's not many with the green bar that are not ranked anymore. Let me find one with a little bit of green. Okay, this one is an example. Okay. 400,000 pledge. That's pretty good. Why it's not ranked? Delegation. Oh, yeah. So it's not until you get to 600,000. So is until those pools start getting ranked. 600,000 pledge is where they start getting ranked because that's part of the design of the protocol to where that pool has a 75% chance of making a block if it takes the pool's pledge, the operator pledge, plus your delegation. Now has a 75% chance of making a block that epic, then that pool get ranked. That's why 600,000 pledge is the magic number, okay? That's why it's kind of a magic number. And that's just how it works. That is how the protocol was designed. It will work correctly if we use it correctly, if we use it effectively. So what are my suggestions to a new person starting up a pool? My suggestion is start it up with 600K. Up your pledge to 600,000. All those unranked pools that are way down at the bottom of the ranking, up your pledge. Will it cause a rise in the price of ADA? I don't know. I don't know that kind of stuff. I'm not a financial advisor and I don't do financial advice. But if you want your pool to start ranking in Daedalus, even when K goes to 500, it's still going to be the same way. If you don't have at least 600,000 pledge on your pool, you're not going to get into those rankings unless your pool has some significant number of delegation already. Because there are pools like Emergo that have 10K pledge, all right, but they have a massive delegation. So there's get ranked. There's other pools that only have 50,000 pledge, 120,000 pledge, but their massive delegation gets them ranked. Okay. But if you're a new pool starting up, you might need to hit 600,000 ADA delegation. And it's a small business. What do people do if they want to start a Taco Bell? If they want to start a Taco Bell, they want to start any business out here in my neighborhood, they got to go take out a small business loan, 50,000, 60,000. They got to start an LLC. They got to start a franchise. If they want to start a Mr. Donuts, it's a lot of money. It's like $100,000 to start a Mr. Donut, right? I've got the equivalent of, I got 1.8 million pledged total. That's over $180,000. I could start up a couple businesses. I could buy a semi truck and I could start a Taco Bell for $180,000. But I started pools because I have an affinity for that. And my team is savvy. They got skills for that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, I know some people want to hear that. If you want to start up a pool, you might want to start off at 600,000 so you get ranked. Otherwise, you need a really large delegation to get ranked. Okay, so let's see. Any questions in chat? I know I say some controversial things, but I don't say it to be controversial. I just say it because that's the way it is, right? And that's the way you got to do it because Cardano's going for number one. And we're not going to get there if we fool ourselves. Okay, so UMed has a comment here. A larger increase in K will spread the stake faster as sitting in an oversaturated pool becomes painfully obvious. Yes, thank you, UMed. Nailed it. And check out UMed's channel over there, Slot Leader. He's got a Slot Leader podcast, and he had Colin on this recent Slot Leader. It's really good. Colin's a professional trader, so go check out Slot Leader on UMed's channel. His latest 2 videos, part 1, part 2 with Colin. All right, so let's see here. Thank you, UMed. Jesus Christ said a good notification can take care of this very easy. Yeah, we need a little bit more notifications in the wallets, Daedalus and Uri. Those would be helpful. Pool tornado pools are also very helpful there. Let's see. Any other questions? The problem with a gradual increase in K is the pain of redelegation over and over again. Yeah. So set K equals 500, K equals 1,000. Yeah. So there's a trade-off. The gradual increase in K is the pain of redelegating because let's say K is set to 150, saturation's at 11 million. You set it to 500. It drops to 63 million. Delegators are going to have to move their stuff around. It's really easy to redelegate. It really is. The thing is, people have to be aware of it. Okay. So there is a pain point there. That's why I say periodically, quarterly, semi-annually, right? Use numbers that people are already familiar with. Makes it easier. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. JT says 600,000 pledge sounds like a rich man's game. It is. It does. It does. I'm not a rich man. I've got plenty of debt. Probably heard me say it before. I'm not a rich man. I work hard, and so does pretty much everybody else. I mean, that's the way it is. If you want to build a business, you're going to take a loss. Like right now, if all things balanced out, I'm barely breaking even based on investment versus current state, right? But I'm a long game guy. I know it's going to work out in the long run. If you look at some of those big giant Bitcoin mining places like Bitcoin.com, they're probably looking at the tens of millions of dollars per year. It doesn't take a lot of people to run those operations, but it does take a lot of people to build a giant warehouse full of Bitcoin mining ASICs, right? So yeah, now if you want to start a Bitcoin mining farm, it takes a lot of money to do that. On Cardano, it's not that much. As a matter of fact, let's compare it. Let's say $60,000 to start a pool. You want to get 600K added to get your startup pledge to do it right. You know, it doesn't help that much, right? It doesn't help that much pledge right now because A0 is only equal to 0.3 or A0 is only equal to 0.3, right? But I talked to the Dash guys over on the Cardano Effect channel. And right now, the Dash average, they explain it, is they have about 1,000 operators on Dash. Each operator runs about 5 nodes. They have 5,000 Dash master nodes. Okay. And that doesn't mean it's right. That just means that's the equilibrium that it's currently at. And each operator has on average about $250,000 invested. That sounds like a lot of money. But if you want to run a professional small business, that's to run 5. If you want to run a professional small business, it costs money to build a business. It does. It just costs money to do it. I mean, I know there was some rhetoric. I never agreed with it. There was rhetoric in the early days of Cardano. Anyone can run a node. A high school kid can do it on a Rock Pi. It's true. They can run a node. They can run a passive node. They can run a relay. It doesn't mean they can run a successful pool. It does not mean they can run a successful business. They can run nodes for experiments, training, learning, support the network, connect to cash registers, connect to other networks, connect to Oracle pools and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean they can run a successful high-performance pool, okay? That's just how business works. Umid says 60K isn't actually a bad price to start a business like this. I agree. So, I mean, Umid kind of concurs. We don't always agree on stuff, but I think we can agree there. Starting a business, it takes some time, money, and investment. Okay. And I don't mind doing it. What I do mind is when people like unprofessionally attack my business operation, right? And I'll give you an example. Okay. Let's say you have 2 competing taco businesses. Taco Time is one and Taco Bell is another, right? These 2 businesses are competing, right? Taco Bell doesn't try to shame Taco Time if there's too many Taco Times in the neighborhood. Taco Bell just tries to do a better job delivering tacos, better tacos, and marketing better. They don't like go on Twitter and virtue signal against Taco Time because Taco Time is running a good business, right? What they do is they say, well, this is what the market looks like. This is what I have to do to run a better operation. And that's what the Cardano pool operators should be doing, right? Don't go shaming people because I have three tickers, Digi 2 and Digi 3. People should not be doing that. That is not professional. What you would be doing is, it just doesn't make sense. We have a lot of time and investment, right? It's a professional operation. Like I said, Taco Time versus Taco Bell. They don't like virtue signal and try to shame each other with pie charts saying our neighborhood is not decentralized enough because there's too many Taco Times here, right? And that's just an example, but it's true. Same thing with like car dealerships. If there's, I got a Ford dealership, a Chevy dealership. Chevy doesn't like go shame Ford. Hey, Ford, you got too many Fords around here. We're going to make fun of you guys until you go away. That's not how it works. Okay. They just make better cars or try to make better cars. Okay. And better marketing. That's the deal. That's how it works. Make good offers. Right. So I just hope y'all can kind of take that on board. I didn't mean to get on a soapbox and pontificate. The key here was the strategy for Digital Fortress. K equals 500. We don't have to open more pools. But again, I never rule it off the table if I need to, depending on market conditions, and to keep a good, sustainable business running. Okay. Those were the keys. Any other questions? Let me know. I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see. Punya says, what about 100,000 pledge running with a great return performance and have a lot of delegation? Well, if you get a lot of delegation, then a 100K pledge is fine because it will get you ranked if you get enough pledge. But starting it up like that right now is going to be kind of difficult. Here's another important thing, interesting. I'm trying to figure out. Right now, there's 17 billion ADA on the network. I think Binance has about 3 billion. That takes us up to 20 billion ADA. There's still 11 billion ADA out there. Where is it? Okay, so if you're thinking about starting up, think about that. Where's that ADA located? Who has that ADA? Who has control? How do you reach those folks? What if they've been dormant for 2 years and they don't look at Cardano again? They've got big bags sitting out there and they haven't looked at Cardano in 2 years. There's people that have done that. So where's that ADA at? All right, let's see. Roadrunner says, if you bought ADA early, 600K pledge, $12,000 for a note. Yeah, that's if you bought like back in March or if you bought ADA early on. Most of the people running the pools right now, you never know. I can't speak for them, but yeah, daily cost averaging helps. Okay. All right, let's see. Adrian Lopez says, Rick, what's your opinion about operators cloning their pools times 10 with less than 100,000 pledge with a huge amount staked? Well, they're free to do that because the protocol allows it. So if that's how they want to try to run their business, then I guess we'll see. That's not how I'm doing it, but there are some places doing that. Some places it didn't work out well. Some places it did. Depends on the operator. Let's see here. So yeah, my opinion is the protocol allows it. Then they can do it. I don't like to tell people what to do. I mean, I'll offer advice or suggestions, but if someone can run 10 pools at 100K pledge, then there you go. I really don't like going below 1%. I wouldn't plan on ever doing that myself because it becomes an unsustainable thing. It becomes unsustainable at some point to where you can't bring in the big players or you can't bring in the most lucrative, high performance businesses if the network average is something less than 1%, right? That they're just, what you're going to end up with is a bunch of ultra cheap VPS with absolute minimum specs running. That's what you're going to end up with. So if the network average drops to 1% or goes below 1%, then you're going to have probably a bunch of minimum performance nodes running out there. I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you'll get. That's how it works. So Jesus Christ asks, do you think a large chunk of those 10 billion ADA could be lost or forgotten? Some of it is. Some of that 10 billion ADA is either lost or forgotten. Some people probably may have died and they didn't give anybody their secret key. Some of it might be forgotten where, there's really wealthy people out there and they got a maybe a paper wallet sitting around from 3 years ago. Who knows? A couple 100 million ADA sitting on it. Could be. All right. So there you go. That's all I can say about that. And looks like I got all the questions. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks for watching Digital Fortress. And a reminder to Digi delegators, feel free to hop over to Digi 3 when you get a chance. December 6th, K is going to 500. That's the most important part. Thanks for sticking with Digital Fortress, and thanks everyone for joining me in the chat. Y'all have a great day. Let's see. Look, before I go, how high is Bitcoin? How high is it now? It was at 15.5 before I started. And where's it at now? 15,576. Woo, and ADA's at 9.8 cents. All right. Y'all have a good night.